All right, listeners, we are in for a treat today because I get to chat with Adriana Morrison. She's a member of our mastermind. And what I appreciate so much about Adriana is not only her willingness to commit herself to her goals and her passion, but for how she has committed to showing up even when she's not sure what the path in front of her is going to look like or what obstacles are just around the bend. And what is going to be so insightful, and I can't wait to dive into this, is the Adriana that I'm going to be interviewing today is not the Adriana that I first met at Posium several years ago. And that's an important thing to keep in mind. She has completely evolved and transformed herself and how she shows up. So excited to dive into it. Adriana, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I am outstanding. Always a pleasure to chat with you. So I want to give a little context and a little backstory. So what was it that brought you into our ecosystem? Because I believe our first interaction was you coming into Fitposium.
Yes, so it was back in 2018, and I've got to give credit to my colleague Jordan Baldwin here in Denver, Colorado, that had gone to the previous year in 2017. And she was raving about how amazing Fitposium is, the incredible platform it is for anyone in the fitness industry, and highly encouraged me to attend the following year, which was 2018. So, not knowing what her schedule was, we had initially planned on going together. It didn't work out for her to attend, so I made the decision to go by myself. And what amazed me was that, as scared as I was to get on a plane to Arizona, and knowing that there was going to be some pretty amazing people, and thinking, how do I best show up? It felt like such a safe place to get to know, to learn about what all we could do in the fitness industry. And it became exciting for me. So, as I was nervous and following prompts, turn to your neighbor, say hi, for some of the breakouts that we were in, it was an amazing, and still is, because I'm so proud to be a part of the Fitposium community. It was an amazing opportunity to see what the possibilities were and what everyone brought to the table. So that became super exciting for me.
Let's talk about possibilities because it's such a great word to segue in. Where were you at? We're in late. This is because Fitposium happens in October, so this is late 2018. Where were you at this point in your own trajectory, and where were you kind of like ruminating on where you want to set your vision, or what possibilities did you see in front of you?
So I didn't have a clear vision back then in 2018. And I think where I was a trainer, a coach. I was teaching group fitness classes. I knew that where I was, I wanted more, but I couldn't, I had the difficulty seeing the entire piece. So I kept my eyes and ears open, knowing that maybe through attending Fitposium, I could discover more about which path I needed to be on. So I was moving along in the industry. I was very happy with what I brought to the table, with my experience, and being able to continue to work with clients, and then in the group fitness setting.
What made you feel? Because I mean, this is an interesting opportunity or place where you chose to make a pivot, which is a lot can just do what you were doing and just be completely content with. Well, I have my group fitness training. Things are going just fine. But for some reason, you wanted more in your trajectory, and that obviously that brought you back to Fitposium the next year, and eventually into our mastermind. What was it that kind of had that voice in your head, or that fire inside your heart that says, no, there's a higher level that I want to play at?
Well, honestly, looking back, I felt like I was playing small. Now, that wasn't the terminology that came to mind in real time back then. I knew that I was getting by in my career. I think that I was feeling uneasy where I was training, just because there were some grumblings with management, and just not knowing what all was happening, I felt like I was biding my time.
Hmm.
And it didn't sit well with me because I felt like I could do more. I don't think I had the belief in me to take a bigger step. So I continued to wait and see. And I felt like I was a little bit of a sitting duck in doing so. It felt comfortable. I was still wishing that there was more. So I gave myself the opportunity to open my eyes and ears to see what else is out there. And Posium did that for me. I was blown away by who all was there, by all the movers and shakers, and their willingness to share principles of how to take it to the next level. I think that there was such, and still is, an incredible amount of positivity to encourage all of us to reach for greater. And then here's how, and then sharing the steps, the step-by-step process. And then the only thing left is to get out of your own way. So that was the theme, that was the meaning I got from 2018 to begin with.
And I remember now flashing forward right after 2019, you were selected at 2019 for a feature in Strong Fitness magazine. And we got to do that photo shoot, which was so awesome. That was one of the most fun shoot days. I mean, I know I was pretty exhausted because we just spent the last 4 days hosting our biggest fit posing we'd ever had. And I'm sure you were, because you were just there downloading all this information, but we all got to connect. The editors of the magazine were there. We just got to spend a full day shooting. And I remember that day so specifically. I love for like kind of your feedback on what that day was like for you.
Oh my gosh, being a part of that, first of all, I was blown away by being chosen because there's so many amazing people. I say people, the majority are women, but there was just so amazing people I got the chance to connect with. And the fact that me being 46 at the time, turning 47, being chosen was super huge. And it gave me such a confidence boost that, of course, don't let age be your cage. And I remember thinking at the photo shoot, I was super nervous at first because I thought you were just on this specific schedule and we had to get things done. And but what I loved about that photo shoot was that I got a chance to know you and Kirsten Brown, and you all were just so much fun to be with. And I think that was the first time I met Chris Crowley. So she was able to meet with you all. Her session was after mine, and just the level of connectedness and the level of positivity, the fun that was in that day. I remember thinking, God, this is amazing. I'm in the car with James and Kirsten, and they're kicking it back. And I remember being in the front seat, and we're going to the first location. And I thought, God, this is so much fun. This is the cool side of continuing to network within the industry and getting to know some really neat people. And that's what I always thought about the two of you.
That was such a memorable day. And yeah, you're right. Chris Crowley was there because she had her photo shoot just adjacent to yours that day. And just it was literally the morning after Fitposium was when we kicked that thing off, and it was just I was so excited when your name was called because I knew it had been your second year at the conference. And and this is not something we talk about publicly too much, but the editors, particularly the editors that are there, they confer a lot with the team members, a lot with myself, our event coordinator, our event chair, and they ask us feedback on how's this person been showing up, what's this person like, do you get a sense of their professionalism or what they're like to work with. And when your name came up, it was like, oh, we're so excited for this opportunity. This is someone who she's been putting in the work, and for that to come to fruition was just such an amazing thing. Flashing forward from there a few months, there was the opportunity where you opted in for the mastermind. And I have a two-part question, but I'll get to the first part first. What was the thing that kind of got you to say, you know what, I need this higher level, really speedway to be on in regards to my network and where I'm trying to set my vision for where I'm trying to go for myself?
So the timing was obviously the turn of the year, the decade, and I had a chance to self-reflect, and like a lot of people do at that type of turning of the year. And I decided and concluded I wanted more. And what I was doing was not enough. I knew that within my heart, and I knew that I needed to explore and take a step further. So, in being at Posium twice, I knew that the message, and I remembered you saying this was an amazing opportunity to connect, to really do a deep dive, to understand your brand, your calling, how you want to take it to the next level. And the tools that are part of Get Amp Mastermind are here. So I thought about it and I thought, okay, I'm going to take a chance. I don't know what the future will bring. So let me reach out and say, hey. And so then I remember you and I having that phone call in the very, very beginning of March. And I felt safe. I felt like the conversation felt really good to me. You were real clear on the vision and the steps and what the working together would be like within the mastermind, within the group, and then just the individual work. And I thought, okay, I'm ready for this. I'm going to do this. And then life decided, hey, hold on a second, we've got some other plans. So I share this story because it's really important in my belief in trusting the process. 2 weeks after I decided to come on board and I made that decision, I lost my job. And it
Mhm.
was scary. And I was petrified, my main job. And of course, this was happening towards the end of March. And then what also happened in March, the fall of COVID and how it affected profoundly so many people at once, right then and there. And I was scared. And I remember taking refuge in the theme of Get Amp Mastermind, of having this being a pivotal moment to focus on your brand, focus on you. And I remember thinking, okay, I've got to do this. I have to, I'm scared. And I remember having a conversation with my husband, and he took a deep breath and he said, okay, I trust the process. And there was a little hesitation, but I get it because of the uncertainty of just the picture ahead. And so in doing the work, I learned that I had not been focusing on my brand or what I truly wanted to do. And so, but that was still okay. I knew that I could still start and make progress. So this was very productive for me because it helped me put blinders on and tune out some of the things that could be a distraction. I didn't want to be in squirrel mode. I wanted to focus. And then life continued to happen. Being a special needs mom, I have 4 kids. My oldest, who has moderate autism, had his very first seizure. And we had to deal with that. And I still had to factor in how we were to take care of him and the family. And then 8 days after that, I got into a serious car accident.
Mhm.
And it really threw my world. I didn't sustain permanent injuries, but I was injured, and I had to take a step back and heal, and I had to work through that, and it really tested me because I was still dedicated to moving forward. I had to process my feelings. I had I I cried, I was upset, I was mad because I didn't cause the accident. I was feeling restricted and helpless for a moment. And then I found that I was so leaning in and hard on the mastermind group. And that's what pulled me through. My husband, amazing man that he is, did all that I needed him to do. And then the piece that was part of my self-identity, scared of what the future would look like at that moment, I had to just continue to trust the process. And I knew that deep down inside, I still wanted more. So then the golden question for me was, now what? Okay, this happened. Okay, but I can't change all of these events. So what step do I need to do to move the needle to take that step forward? As painful as I was perceiving it to be, as terrifying as I still was, because there was no cape around my neck, no S on my chest, and boy, man, did I wish there were. And in trusting the process and not putting any sort of timestamp, I began to gain traction. And I allowed myself to breathe and pause and stand in my truth and recognize that I'm still going to be okay, that this is an obstacle, this is a hurdle, that so many people have had hurdles that have stopped them in their tracks. And yet we still have an amazing opportunity to move forward. And so, as much as in the moments I had my ugly cries and was upset, these moments were a blessing because it made me choose to posture up and go head on and take that step forward and be okay that I had nothing to lose, that I had so much to gain in doing so.
I'm so grateful that you shared the not just the facts of what happened, but the emotion underlying the facts of what happened. Because in rhetoric we'll talk about, oh, and things happen overnight, whether it's good or bad. I mean, literally within 2 weeks of you making an investment to be a part of this mastermind community, uh, you lose your job. This idea that we had that, oh, well, there's this virus that right now it's overseas, and no one was talking about this coming over here, or if it did come over here, it having any impact on our life, or and certainly not the way we do business, right? And then shortly after that, it was the accident and the stuff with the family, and it's just like one after another after another after another. Any one of these things could have been enough to derail most people. Any one. The culmination of two of them would have derailed 99.9% of the people, right? But it was just, and I remember that period of time, because we do our weekly office hours and our monthly calls. And on every call, it was, you would take this deep breath and you would say, I'm trusting you said it every call. Okay. And it was really like the flag that you would wave, which is, I'm trusting the process. But this ability to trust the process, because there's a difference between people who want something. Everyone wants something. Okay. The will to trust the process requires a cultivation of an inner strength. And I'm curious, what was the source of this inner strength that permitted you to trust the process, permitted you to lean into others? Okay. Because that was another part of it. You said that I leaned into others for support. I leaned into others when I need to, whether it was your husband, whether it was the mastermind, whether it was, conversations with me, you were willing to lean into others, but you had the strength to know when to ask. You had the strength to know when to push forward. You had the strength to know when to stand up. And I'm just curious, how did you cultivate, manifest, and apply this strength during this time?
I remember thinking to myself, I want to win. I want to win in life, that I'm not done. And what's happened, I can't accept that this is it, this is all there is, and throw in the towel. That I want to fight and I want to see where I can take things. And I think my will to succeed was so burning deep within that I remember thinking, it doesn't hurt to ask. I can't be afraid to ask for what I need. And I need to be extremely coachable because I don't have the answers. And if I close ranks with people who I know have voiced their offerings to be in my corner, I can't go wrong. I can't do it myself. as much as I like to think that I can handle things by myself, I want to be able to be smart in my actions. And I remember thinking when the end of March, when things started to go south, and I thought, my gosh, I made an investment. Oh my gosh. But then I'm like, you know what? I made an investment, but I made an investment in myself. So things are going to happen. I'm not an exception to life and things derailing and things happening. So I'm just going to trust it's not over. It's not over yet. So I need to see this thing through, and then I have to show up. So I'm going to have my ugly cry, I'm sure, and I'm going to have moments where I'm going to pout and have it, need a timeout for myself, but then I still have to show up. And so I resolved and I dedicated myself to taking a step forward, kicking and swinging in terms of maybe not feeling fabulous in the moment, but committing to the process and knowing that that emotion will be fleeting and things will be okay. And and that calling of, I know I can do more. I want to see what I can do. I'm willing to take the hits. I'm willing to get into the midst of the fight of life. I want to see how far we can do this thing. Let's do this.
I love that you said I'm willing to take the hits, because it's true. Like it is this intense experience of entrepreneurship that, more often than not we do not win, and the numbers are always stacked against us, and that is the sheer math of pursuing something that you're truly passionate about. But you're able to get past the knockdowns, get past the hits, because of the wins, because those wins feel so good, they lift you up so much that the hits don't feel as much. uh, and we can tell these stories because you and I both know where the story has ended and how beautiful the trajectory went. But I want to ask this first: like, when did you start to notice things started to shift? Because at some point, things started to change. And when you jump on office hours, we have our calls, you're like, something's happening. Like, you're like, I feel something. Something's going to happen. I want to kind of dive into that because it's such a fascinating feeling. As soon as you said, I was like, I know exactly what you're talking about. Because anytime something big happens to me, I feel the same thing. Like, at an energetic stance, I feel something is about to tip. So I want to know, like, what was it that you were feeling at that time that something big was about to happen?
I started to believe in myself. I think that earlier this year, I found myself thinking, I'll be honest, full disclosure, I can do it, I think. And so it was almost a hesitation that was the end of that thought. But I started to believe in me, and I started to tune out the inner critic in my mind, the one that doubted in the past, the one that would say, oh, you can't start over, or you should have had your stuff together long time ago. If you did, none of this would have ever happened. Well, that's wrong and that's inaccurate. And I was able to tell her to sit down and shut up, because it's okay to start over again. And I strongly believed in my heart that 2020 was a series of starting overs, and that if I was okay with that, we're going to be okay. The essence of rebuilding, the essence of rebuilding who I am, my thought process, what my call to action is, the fact that I am very much capable, just like so many people I admire within the industry and beyond who are successful, who are just an example of how you can transform a moment in time in life and continue to climb and succeed, and in such admirations for so many people. And I remember myself thinking, I can do that. And there was no longer the I can do that, I think. It's like, no, I can do that. And my path will likely look different than, say, her path next to me, or so and so's path next to me. And if I'm okay with that, and if I do my homework, and if I do the work and I show up, and I listen and I close ranks, it's going to be okay. And so when I started to believe that within my soul, I started to like who I was becoming. So then I was really liking who I was staring at in the mirror. Hey, I'm 47. Hey, I have 4 kids, and it's okay that I'm starting again, and it's okay that I'm proud of how I'm representing myself in the fitness industry, and then those who walk similar paths in their shoes, similar to mine, and I feel good about it because in my own way I'm contributing to how we change the narrative, what we tell ourselves, what's not acceptable to tell ourselves anymore. How do we cheer ourselves on and be proud of who we've become and not compare ourselves to others. And that was super huge for me. And when I was doing that, there's this level of feeling good about myself that started to happen. The level of excitement for what I knew I needed to do, my most immediate steps to move the needle for my online business, and then just my presence and who I interacted with online. It started to come together. It started to feel good. And I knew I wasn't there yet, but I was on my way. And every step I took was a productive step forward. And it felt good. It felt so good.
That resonates with me on innumerable levels. Just hearing the trajectory and developing that inner confidence to remove the words "I think" from a call to action. That right there is just such a powerful transition. So I want you now, because there have been so many great wins you've had in the second half of this year. So many great wins. I would love for you to unapologetically brag about the wins that you've cultivated, not within your business, but within your life.
Okay, well, the first and foremost is I've been able to bounce back physically. So I'm very proud to say that I've improved and I feel great. I've been healing and I'm just pretty much right back to where I am before the accident. So that's first and foremost. The second thing is my family, we're doing great. So that's super huge. So first, second and foremost. And then also I've had the chance to include an additional role with what I do. I've become an empowerment speaker, and in my studies and planting the seeds to begin to make myself available for speaking platforms, I have spoken on several national platforms. I was on the Success Women's Conference. I also, F45 had asked me to speak on their Global Fitness Summit conference, which was extremely huge, and they had reached out to me. And what made that so impactful was that they said my message resonated with them, and they wanted to share the speaking platform with me, and I happily agreed. And then in addition to that, being a part of Posium this year, I know we went virtual and it was still impactful. It was still an amazing weekend, and being able to connect with everyone, it still felt just the same as last year. And I was selected by 2 magazines for content, for being participating in their content and producing content for them. So if I could say, I guess Fit Figures and then Fitness Magazine. So very happy about that. And I'm just continuing. And then Strong Fitness Magazine, I'm the newest advisory board member coming on board with Strong Fitness Magazine. So I'm super excited because these are professional wins, but it's a testament to implementing the sound principles to my personal life and letting that reverberate through all that I'm involved in trying to move the needle to be all that I can be within the fitness field. So it feels so good to do that. And it's an indicator that I'm on the upswing, that there's always, when we're going through the trenches, we're not going to stay there. Where we are is temporary. We are not going to be there the rest of our days. We can definitely move that needle. And I feel like these recent events are a testament to that.
If you look at, this has been over the course of 7 months, 7 months, 7 months from being laid off from your job. In
Yes.
7 months, you went from being laid off to your job to being booked to present nationally and internationally on these amazingly huge platforms, to being featured in numerous national and international publications, and to be named on the advisory board of one of the top health and fitness publications in the world. 7 months.
Yeah. I mean, things, one idea, one call to action, one trajectory, moving the needle, swiveling can change your life. And I truly believe that. And as when I look back and I remember how scared I was, but the best thing I ever did was trust the process, because as long as I showed up, things were going to get better. And I needed to stay consistent, and I needed to not let my emotions get to me. They could be a part of how I'm processing, but they can't supersede my decision making process. And that's been a difference maker for me.
That is such a critical point for anyone that's listening to the show or watching the video, which is, you have every right to feel the emotions that you are feeling at any given time. No one can say that the emotions are invalid, but the emotions don't dictate the actions, right? So get clear on the actions that you want to take, the path you want to take. And what's so important, and this is something that I've spoken about, is the path that you want to take may not be the path you're planning to take before. And that needs to be repeated, because a lot of times, when, especially in this year, we feel disconnected, or we feel like we might be lacking the motivation, or might be lacking the energy or the determination that we felt we used to have. And perhaps the reason is because we're trying to achieve a goal that no longer serves us, or trying to walk down a path that we no longer want to walk down. So our body, our mind, our emotions are trying to tell us, like, hey, maybe you don't want to be going in this direction. And that's where we run into that friction. So ask yourself, what is it that I want? And getting crystal clear on that can help set you on the trajectory where you can choose to say, I can do this, and remove the I think from it, because you're getting hyper focused on what your vision is, what your intention needs to be to achieve that vision, so you can leave behind the legacy that you want to leave behind. So Adriana, I'm just eternally grateful for you, and just beyond proud of you, of how you show up, of not just how you show up for others, because you're one of the most generous people that we have in our mastermind, just how you show up, how you support, how you strategize with others, but how you've shown up for yourself, and how you've said that you are worth the future that you're setting your vision on. I would love to know how listeners can go to connect with you and learn more about you.
Well, first of all, I can't thank you enough for all that you do for the fitness field. I mean, you are just an amazing guiding light in so many ways, and
Thank you.
just so honored and privileged to be connected with you and so many other great people through Fit Posium. And so I always have to say that. So my website is synergizedfitness.com, and it's an online fitness and nutrition platform for women, in particular, women 40 plus. And it's an amazing way for me to connect with those who are wanting some specialized approaches to moving the needle with their health, that maybe in previous past they've not been as successful. And I have on Instagram, my handle is Adriana Morrison _. And I would love for listeners to follow me there. And I do have a little freebie that I'd like to add. And so it's if you go to freebie.synergizedfitness.com, I have a little mini workout that is deceitful looking because it looks mild mannered. However, it'll light a fire underneath the feet. And then I have an ebook that I've attached to that. That's 5 secrets to holiday proof your nutrition.
Oh,
So
that sounds amazing. I just want to clarify the URL. Is it freebie or freeoffer.synergizedfitness.com?
freebie.
Freebie. Okay, so I'll make sure that's in the show notes, both the free offer that you have, your website, as well as your Instagram. All those will be in the show notes. And Adriana, thank you so much. So proud of you, and cannot wait to just see what you cultivate next.
Thank you so much for having me, James. Super appreciative of you and everything that's happening.